checking this. Oh, my voice is suddenly very deep and very sexy. This is very entertaining. Can you hear me okay? Oh, God, funny feedback here. I'm not used to headsets. Hello, everybody. How are you feeling sexy tonight? So this talk, before I fall over, here over here. This talk is on embodying your yes and your no, which is a very covert way of teaching consent. It's ninja way of teaching consent, because when it comes to consent, it's a word that's bandied around a lot at the moment, especially in the era of Me Too, and it can feel very scary. Oh shit, are they consenting? How do I get consent? Does asking for consent kill the mood? And I think we can all agree that consent isn't just yes, and it isn't just no, and it isn't just cups of tea, but you know, I really love tea as well. Consent is something that's ongoing. But at the same time, when it comes to consent and embodying your yes and your no, often it comes to, where do I feel a yes or a no in my body? And this is where we're often failed by sex education as well. Because if you had any, hands up who got sex education in high school. What did you learn in sex education?
Oh, I think I had some in
Had to put condoms on bananas.
Don't get pregnant and don't get STIs. Don't have sex is dangerous and sex is dirty. It's not really setting us up for very pleasurable, healthy, fun relationships. And in school, they don't teach us about consent and they don't teach us about pleasure, because teachers are terrified that they're going to sexualize the young children, which is a really, adjusting this, it's really scary because we don't often know what feels good in our body. And when I talk about pleasure to my clients and on talks, the first thing I ask them is, where do you feel pleasure outside of the bedroom? Because we tend to think of pleasure as something of, you know, sexual pleasure. And sexual pleasure is wonderful, by the way, it's juicy, but if you're not used to feeling what is pleasurable within your body outside of the bedroom, then how the fuck are you going to feel it inside of the bedroom? So one thing I wanted to lead you through is a really fun exercise, and I was going to demo it with someone, but actually I think it's more fun to do it with all of you. So I'd like you to pick a partner, any partner. There will be no touching involved, I promise. Pick a partner. So you're going to take it in turns. This is called the yes-no exercise. If anybody's done this, by the way, don't ruin it. So pick a partner and take it in turns. One of you is going to go first, one of you is going to go second. Now, I'm going to time you. For 2 minutes, you're going to ask your partner any question, within limits. Okay, I think the limits is nothing too explicit. You're going to ask your partner anything, and they have to say yes. Even if it's, can I feed you dog food? They still have to say yes. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Does anybody have a partner? Does everybody have a partner? Who's going first? Okay, you've got 2 minutes. You have to ask your partner any question within limits, and they have to say yes. By the way, whatever they say yes to does not count outside of the room. So if they said yes to paying your mortgage, this doesn't count outside of this talk. Are you ready? Now, the same partner, I want you to ask for another minute any question you want within limits, and the partner has to say no. And that even includes, can I pay your mortgage for a year? And they still have to say no. So any question you want, you've got, yeah, so same partner, and you have 1 minute and go. First of all, what did it feel like to say yes to something you really didn't want to say yes to? Weird. Where did you feel it in your body? In your heart area? So you're saying yes, I will eat dog food, but your body is saying no. Did you feel it anywhere else in your body? Mainly here. Anyone else? What did it feel like to say yes to something you really didn't want?
It's very funny. I felt like my throat constrict.
Your throat constricting, that's also really common. They say it's the throat chakra. What else? What did it feel like to say yes?
I feel mainly
Here.
on my neck and arm.
So you felt stress and tension. Almost like your body is bristling, like your body is armoring up. Anyone else? What did it feel like? And where did you feel it in your body when you said yes to saying something you didn't want, to doing something you didn't want to do?
It felt like my eyes were bugging out.
They were what?
The eyes are bugging you.
Uh-huh.
When I was saying yes.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What did it feel like to say yes to something you actually wanted? What did that feel like? Exciting! Exciting. And where did you feel that? I'm going to keep asking you where you feel this in your body. It will get repetitive, but there is logic to it. Where did you feel that in your body?
All over.
All over. Oh, yes! Who else? Well, what did it feel like to say yes to yes, you can massage my feet this afternoon? Where did you feel that yes?
In the heart.
In the heart.
Not
Expansive.
expansive.
Did it feel warm? Did it feel juicy? How could you describe it?
It felt right. It felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Now, there is logic to this. And before I go, what did it feel like to say no to something you actually really wanted? Difficult. Difficult. Can you tell me more about that?
It was a gut feeling of
A gut feeling.
want it, but then, actually it was two feelings. It was a gut feeling of want it and throat feeling of I have to say no.
So almost like a disconnect,
Yeah.
like a disconcordance, so to speak. Gut says yes, throat says no. What else? What did it feel like to say no to something? Different energy. Deflating. Who said that? Yeah, deflating. Where did you feel that? Where did you feel that deflatedness? So did you feel yourself almost kind of coming down, kind of shrinking, a sadness? And finally, what did it feel like to say no to something you absolutely did not want to do? True. 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 Did it feel like almost you were standing on your truth?
Yeah. Like with also the voice is loud. I mean,
It's loud.
a proper no.
A proper no.
You own it.
You own it. And how did it feel different to say no to something you wanted to say yes to?
Oh, painful.
Painful.
Oh yeah, blowing voice and
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it. You know what? Almost want to say it.
It's like, did you feel a disconnect or a sort of body says one thing, brain says another? You should be saying yes because Lucy told you to. So therefore I have to say yes. But actually my body was saying hell no or hell yes. This comes down to consent. Often consent, and when we're embodying consent, is really tuning in to when we're feeling a yes and when we're feeling a no. And the beauty and the most difficult part is this can change in any given moment. And this is why cultivating body awareness and somatic awareness of when our body is saying yes, when our body is saying, not sure, and when our body is saying a firm no. And then it's a whole new ball game to then communicate this to your partners, of saying, baby, I'm really not feeling this right now. Can we do something else? I think many of you may know that we're often taught this from when we're children, that, it's the typical scenario of when you get your 2-year-old to hug Auntie Mavis, even though they don't really want to, or they have to kiss their granny when they don't want to, where we get our consent overridden. We don't live in a very consensual culture. We often have to do things we don't want to do. We have to work to earn a living. We have to commute. We're very used to doing things we don't want to do, but we have to, either because we feel we have to, or because we're told we have to. And this kind of disconnects us to what we're feeling and what is our yes and what is our no, which then translates to the bedroom when we have no idea what we want or how we want it, or to ask for what we want, because we're so used to having it overridden in our culture. Before I go on, one part of consent is also knowing what is your yes and is your no. And it's also paying attention to your partner. And while I'm an advocate for that we are all adults and we should be able to voice our yeses and our nos, sometimes we can't. Sometimes it could be from a traumatic experience, it can be through any different reasons, but we don't often feel able to say no. And this is why consent is often a two-way street, because it's paying attention to your partner. So, hands up who was asking the questions. Asking. So, can I ask one of you, what did it feel like when your partner said no even though they really wanted to say yes. Where did you notice that in their body?
Well, they weren't very committed, so they said no first and then yes.
Uh-huh.
So they would stumble over the word and not
Mm-hmm.
be able to say it.
Stumbling. Did you notice anything with the way his eyes were moving?
Yeah, his whole body language was like saying it's not right.
Did you notice a kind of bristling in the shoulders? Did you notice a kind of tension?
It's kind of jaw kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And could you feel that energetically as well when he was saying a no? And what about the other way around when they were saying a yes? Hang on, what did I ask first? No to yes, yes to no. What did it feel like when they were saying a yes to something but they meant no?
No, that's what you asked first.
I did ask that, sorry. Yes, no, yes, no.
So
Yeah.
it felt really, it was quite obvious that my partner was like, did not want to do it, wasn't happy with it, her body moved back, her face changed, it was very obvious.
With your partner, can you kind of act that out? Oh, I kind of, oh, God, no. And you can feel it in your body. It's a somatic experience of, God, no. And we can sense this in our partners. I think, how many of you have had an experience either in bed or outside of bed with a partner where you really weren't sure they were into it, but they weren't really saying anything? Yeah. How could you tell? Sorry? Oh, I can't hear. Oh.
You can tell sometimes from the energy that's
Mm-hmm.
going on.
The energy. And by the energy, is it something you can feel in your body? Something feels off?
A bit of that body language as well.
Body language.
Look on
Their
their face.
face. Like, I mean, some people that might be a yes face, we don't know. But at the same time, consent is paying attention to what we're feeling in our body in terms of, am I liking this? And am I getting a sense that my partner's into this as well? And I'm not saying this is a clear-cut science. Sometimes violations of consent can happen. But it's paying attention to what we're noticing, paying attention to the sensations and communicating this. We're not taught this in high school. And this is why so many violations of consent can happen, or where two people can be having an experience and afterwards one person thinks that was awful. And the other person has no idea because they didn't know how to ask for consent or how to check for consent. And by the way, as I'm saying this, I'm probably sounding very doom and gloom, and this is all terrible, and we should never do anything non-consensual, which we shouldn't. I kind of want to lighten the mood at the same time, because this talk is about embodying your yes and embodying your no, and I'd love you to leave this talk with more of a felt sense of where you feel the yes, where you feel the no. Because once you know where you feel the yes and where you feel the no, that makes you empowered to then ask for what you want. I'd like more of this. So I can't remember who was saying that when they said yes to something they wanted, it was like an opening, an expanding. Oh my God, yes, I definitely want this. And this also comes down to pleasure and receiving of, do we feel worthy enough to receive pleasure and to actually have what we want? You can think of, we're taught often as children and the message in society where, you can't have your cake and eat it. I mean, I love cake. If I have cake, of course I want to eat it. Or, you can't have everything you want in life. You're being too demanding, you're being too bossy. We're taught that we have to put other people's needs above our own. And while there is merit in that, it makes us really shit at receiving and asking for what we want and having what we want. There are limits, but then that translates to the bedroom. Is that 10 minutes? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to do one last exercise to kind of yummy you all up a little bit, because I don't want to be all doom and gloom. So this is a sort of tantric exercise, because I do practice tantra, and I teach tantric exercises in my private practice. And this is very simple. So I don't want you to sit up or stand. I think I'll keep you sitting. What I'd like you to do is to place your left hand and place it over your lower tummy. So sort of for women, it would be over your womb. For men, this would be just above your penis. Take right hand, place it over your heart. Very simple. Simple is deceptive. I'd like you to take a few moments. Feeling your sit bones on your chair. You may want to wiggle your sit bones, wiggle your hips a bit to really feel the chair. I'd like you to take a few breaths. And I'd like you to feel what your hands feel like, noticing the energy between your two hands. Maybe imagining there's a channel of energy running between your heart and your pelvis or your womb, even going down as far as your genitals if you want. This is very simple. Just sitting and breathing and feeling and imagining there is a channel of energy running. As you sit and breathe, tune into how you're feeling. You may notice maybe some bubbles of sensation. You may feel a kind of tickling. You may feel a little trickling. You may feel a buzzing. You may feel a warmth, or you may feel nothing. But whatever you're feeling, if you're noticing that you're feeling a little stirring, maybe within your pelvic space or your heart, does that feel yummy? Does it feel nice? Does it feel warm? Does it feel pleasurable? I'm moving as I speak because this is how I do it. And noticing any pleasurable sensations that you're feeling, any warmth, tickling, buzzing, and dropping down into that pleasurable sensation. Oh good, I felt an energy shift there. And maybe letting it grow just a little bit. If anything feels pleasurable, letting it expand a bit. Maybe an inch. Feeling into that yumminess that exists within all of us, and you can access it anytime you want. Maybe it's a feeling of safety you're feeling. Maybe it's a feeling of nurturing. Anything that feels safe, pleasant, focusing on that pleasurable sensation, that you can access it anytime you want. And this is an exercise you can come back to anytime you want, as a way of connecting in with your body, in with your spirituality, if you want to call it that, in with your spirit, with your energy system. And it's a way of uniting sex with heart and spirit. And if you find that you are in a situation where you're feeling not quite yourself, where you're people pleasing, where you're doing something you don't really feel like you want to do because you're saying yes to stuff you want to say no to, this exercise can be really simple and effective in getting back to what do I want, what feels good to me, where am I feeling that. It's checking in with your own energy system, with your sexual energy, and smile. And maybe do a little shake. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. Feels delicious. It's deliciousness. This is a pleasurable sensation, and this could be your body saying yes. So you have all been delicious. Thank you. You can speak to me afterwards. I will have to leave by 10 p.m. because I have to run back to Brighton. I don't want to be stranded in London overnight, but you can find me at my website, lucyrariot.com. I work individually with couples and individuals. I'm also the organizer of Brighton Sexuality Professionals. And I love helping people experience more pleasure and joy and intimacy in their lives, so thank you. I came too early.
Come on, questions.
Oh, whoops.
Sex tantra.
Sex tantra.
How did you get into all of this?
Oh, no.
How do you convince an unwilling partner to try tantra?
That's an interesting one, because on one hand, my default would be don't override their consent. But at the same time, I think Tantra, it's not just something you practice within a couple, it's something they can practice within themselves first. So you can encourage them to start a practice by themselves, which is as simple: hand over genitals, hand over heart.
Oh no, he's not into that.
He's not into that.
No, it's very hard to convince to try anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suspect it would apply to anyone else who has got an unwilling partner.
But it's difficult, and this is a very common concern in couples where one person wants to do more and the other person's like, no, there's nothing wrong, sex is sex. I would say that do the work on yourself first. So if you are getting into Tantra, do it as a solo practice first, and then he will start to notice the changes that are happening within you. Because while we can't change our partners, as much as we want to, we can't. We can do the work on ourselves, we can do the development within ourselves, and we can share that with a partner. But at the same time, if you're going to drag this partner into Tantra, they're going to come to it with this energy of, well, my partner forced me to, I don't want to do this. And that's not a very yummy, yes, energy. There are ways that you can tune into, you can ask him to tune into where is he feeling a yes and a no. I think people can get put off by Tantra sometimes because they can think it's all about crystals and om, or naked people writhing around. And for us who have done Tantra, it's not like that necessarily. You could take him to a festival or a workshop or go to a talk so he can learn more about it. But I would say don't force something. So if it's a ponytail, don't force it. Or if it's anything that should be forced, it's not going to work.
That applies to any relationships. You can't force people to do anything.
You can't force anybody, and you
Otherwise
can't.
it will just collapse.
You can't make anybody change as much as we want to. All you can do is do the work for yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? One more question. There we go.
Oh yeah, just before, so I've forgotten your name. Susan. I think she gave a definition of Tantra as without intercourse, right? Did you? No.
Tantra is an umbrella term. I've found that there are many different practices and styles and teachings within it. I don't really know what you could define Tantra as because every teacher has their own unique style. I think Tantra has become the kind of umbrella term for sacred sexuality and spirituality with sexuality. I don't know many teachers who practice just Tantra. I would say that Tantra is integrating sex with spirituality. It's also about living a pleasure-filled life and embodying a yes-filled life. It's about accessing the divine through the body and through the very mundane, mundane everyday life skills. One teacher I know, he says that Tantra is the path of, what's the word? It's the path of opposites. So, no, I really should have, there's a word, I keep forgetting what word he says. Tantra is the path of, no, I'm going to have to tell you afterwards. There's a word he used that I always forget every time somebody asks me. I would say it's integrating sex with spirituality, and you don't necessarily have to go to a Tantra workshop to do that or to read a book specific to Tantra. It does help, but don't be too limited by the definition of what Tantra is or isn't. That's my preference.
There's a really good definition out there, which was touch to higher consciousness.
Sorry?
Just touch to higher consciousness.
It is. I think one definition of it is weaving, which is weaving sex with spirit, earth and heaven, mind, body, spirit. It's a weaving together. It's because Tantra, well, Indian Tantra comes from yoga, which is about unity, uniting spirit and body. But then there's also Tibetan Tantra, there's Neo-Tantra. So there's different lineages, different styles. It's finding what, I'd say what resonates with you. That would be my recommendations.
One more time for Lizzie Ruffin.